Okay, what is up, YouTube? Today's gonna be a story time about me going state for wrestling in the state of Wisconsin. And this was about 2 or 3 years ago. I don't wrestle anymore because, well, I'll get into because, yeah, I don't wrestle anymore. But on my first year wrestling, this is when my coach knew that I was a good wrestler. So he would bring in these 17-year-olds, because this is like 6th grade. This is definitely 6th or 7th grade. He brought in these 17-year-olds who were like wrestling for years and years to like free spar with us. Like basically told them, don't hold back, kill these children. And I had this one 17-year-old who was like at almost 6 feet. I'm not joking, like almost 6 feet. Not really buff, but like bigger than me for sure. And he comes in, he starts trying his hardest, and I actually beat him. I actually pinned him and beat him, and my coach saw this and said, did he let me win? And he got up so mad and said, no, he didn't let me win, and I actually beat him. And I was just confused about what the hell's going on, because I'm like, isn't the point for me to win? And he said, no, you're supposed to lose to show you how tough wrestling is. And that's why we get all the weak people who don't want to take it seriously and quit early on. And he told me, and I was like, oh, okay, well, what happened since I won? He said, well, since you won, you're the best one in his class, because I was the only one who won. Nobody else won. And I was like, oh, okay. And after a while, we do the same thing as normal. And I could tell, like, the coach is, like, kind of, like, mentoring me. Like, he's giving me, like, extra attention. Like, every time I free spar with somebody, he comes over and gives me and the other guy pointers, but, like, no one else. And there was this one kid who was, and I'm just saying, he was fat, like, fat. And he was about my height. And I couldn't take him down because he was like 130 pounds. And this is back, like, skinny me, back when I had, like, almost a fucking six-pack. So I couldn't do nothing. He just was standing there while I'm trying to take him down. I'm like, dude, fall, shit, something. And eventually, I started lifting weights, and I got strong to take him down. And one time we were free sparring, and this would decide who was going to represent us in tournaments. And he thought he was going to go easily because I could never take him down before. And I tried my hardest, and I take him down and pin him. He was so shocked, he didn't even fight back. Like, I think he just didn't expect me to do anything. And I beat him. Went to our first tournament in some county in Wisconsin. I fucking forgot, but I remember I got second place in the tournament because I lost one match, then I won the rest of them because there's one guy from a different school. We're wrestling, right? And he slams my head down into the mat. Like, I don't think that purse, but my nose hits the mat and my nose starts bleeding. And if I see blood, I black out. So I saw the blood, I was like, okay, this kid's about to die. He's about to die. So I take him down and score double his points. He had two, I think I had like 4 or 5, which is a lot for a short wrestling match. And I got second place in the tournament because there's one kid who won every match. If I won my first match, I would have beat that kid. And yeah, then we just kept going to tournaments. And I got third place in one tournament, and I was so mad. I kept getting first or second every time, which was good in wrestling, especially since it was my first year. And then the next year, we do the same thing, and now I'm mentoring like the little kids because the next year he allowed little kids to wrestle, like 4th, 5th graders. So even though it's my second year, I'm mentoring them now. Like, I'm teaching them like how the older kids taught me. And I'm like, okay. And he said he's never had somebody that young become a mentor before. They're usually like 16, 15. Great. I'm like 13. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then we keep wrestling, and I win so many tournaments that I get offered to go to state, which I accept. But then everyone puts so much pressure on me. My coach, my parents, everybody was putting so much damn pressure on me that I went to state. I won one tournament. And state there's like, I think 40 tournaments. I won one tournament, and I said to my parents, with my coach standing right next to them, I said, you see, I'm good enough to win this tournament, this whole thing. I could become a state wrestler, but I quit. And I walked out and just walked to the car. And my parents were in silence the whole time. Like, I went one term and I said I quit. They're putting too much pressure on me. I don't know what they expected. I'm like, no, fuck you. It's too much. And I haven't wrestled since. And I really don't want to, because if I do, I'm gonna go hella hard and probably go to state again. And it's gonna be the same thing. And I'm not trying to wrestle and then quit wrestling every 2 years. No. So for now, I am retired. But, I might start wrestling again. But I don't know. If they don't put much pressure on me, I'm definitely wrestling and I'm definitely going for state. But if they do, then I quit. Yeah, it seemed like they're gonna disown me if I fucking lost. So I won one, and then I just said, fuck you, I'm done. Well, that's a quick story time. This just randomly popped in my head like a Vietnam flashback. So, best way to get through that traumatic experience, share it on YouTube. Like, share, subscribe. No dislikes, that's big L. Stay hydrated.